All right. We are live now on YouTube. Good afternoon, sir. Graciano.
Graciano, good afternoon. Success
Graciano.
soldier.
Thank you so much, sir. When I saw that, because of your spoken word that I've watched on YouTube, I don't want to call you Graciano. I wanted to call you Gracino. Gracino. I wanted to have Fino today because the way you used to do your spoken word, just like you're rapping, the way you add everything, flavor, everything, I was like, this guy is like Fino, he's rapping. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome
Good
to
afternoon.
Poetry is my shift too, and I'm happy to have you here, sir. Thank you for
Thank you. It's my
coming.
honor.
Thank you,
I
sir.
feel honored to be here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So you are here today to share your story about your writing experience, the foundation, how you started. So that's why I was okay. Let me bring Graciano. I don't know if I'm putting your name
Uh,
well. So pardon me.
it's Graciano. Graciano, not Gracin.
Graciano. Okay. Because I used to like the way that G R R R R gra the way they used to
Yeah. So it's actually my real name, and how I started adding so many R's to the name it was when I went to radio for the first time. All of the poets going on air all had their own nicknames, and I was told to get one myself. So I told them my name looks like a nickname already, but they insisted. So on the in a bid to insist further without causing issues, I just had to use my own name and just played with it. Add a lot of R's to it. Besides, I had issues pronouncing the R when growing up, and I remember my cousin always telling me to do rrrr. So when I finally figured it out, I said, okay, maybe I should just add it to my name too. So Graciano. So
Graciano.
I always do it with the machine gun effect. Graciano
Oh,
whenever I'm invited
everywhere.
upstage, and it's stuck. And that was
It's
how
so
I
cool.
started doing that until now.
Wow. Thank you, sir. So, want to know your story. How did you find poetry at first place?
Okay, so I did not find poetry. Poetry found me. I did not find poetry. I grew up in a family where I was always indoors. I was always asked to read books and review them before I'll be allowed to rest. So after school, I'll come back home and I'll definitely have my siesta by force. Sleep in the afternoon and then read books and review them before I'll be allowed to go out and play. So it was not an enjoyable childhood, but then it made me to read a lot of books as a child, as a kid. Then the church we were worshiping in then, there was a lot of reading. There are two churches I know that would definitely improve your reading culture. As at then, I don't know about now. Jehovah's Witness and Deeper Life. Those two churches, you will read Bible until your head will come out, fire will be coming out of your eyes. So even what they do for fun is not really fun, but to us then it was fun because it looks like the best thing. Singing the hymns, it was fun. That was the highest fun ever. Trust and obey, for there's no other way. But right now, if we have not done this dance, yeah, kele kele, you have not come to
Ah,
church. So, but then trust and obey. When you sing a lot of hymns and you read a lot of hymns, there are a lot of things that will be happening to you subconsciously. That's you knowing new words, you knowing what rhymes are real rhymes, not the ones they forced, right? You also learn how to use a cadence. That's you measuring your lines and they look like you measured them. Saying your lines are going to look measured, so you can easily change it to a song. So all of this was happening in my head as a child. I did not notice until I became a poet myself. I got to understand why some of these things happened to me so easily. It was easy for me to rhyme. It was easy for me to arrange my lines. It was easy for me to understand words. So there are some words you don't really know their meanings, but because of the context in which they were used, you get to understand what they meant. So that was exactly what happened to me. Reading these numerous books by force and then singing all of those hymns helped in forming my mind as a child. So when I became an adult and I broke my leg, a young adult, I broke my leg. I could no longer play football professionally because that was what I was aiming for. I was planning on being a footballer until in 2008 when I broke my leg. The next best thing I could do was to fall back to writing poetry professionally. So I was writing songs for musicians and they were paying me. I was writing poetry and then I had to learn how to perform them because I understood that no publisher would come to you and ask you, can I please publish your book in Nigeria? No. You either be the one to submit for a competition, then when you win, they will now take that risk. Because right now, no publisher wants to take that risk to put out money and publish your book and pay you royalties again. What they want to do is to ask you to bring your book and then pay them for them to print it for you and then give it back to you to go and suffer, carry your cross and go and sell. So that is why people like me have decided to self-publish. So I write my books myself, edit it and give it to people who edit too, proofread it, package it well, publish it, and then sell it to my audience. So what I do is to raise my audience, grow my audience myself, prepare a copy or prepare a book, a product that I will market to them, and then I market it to them, and then I pay myself off. So, and it is also what I advise people to do. So my journey, I did not start it intentionally. It was it just happened. I as a child I was always reading, and then even when I got into school, we were always I was always asked to recite to do something. So some people will dance. I went to Bagauda School of Talent. Some people will dance. I did not know how to dance. Some people would draw. I knew how to draw, but I didn't know how to paint. So if you read Sticks and Stones, one of my books, you will know the calamity that happened that befell me while I was trying to prove to people that I can draw and paint at the same time. So it's a long story, so I won't say it. No need. No need to start what I cannot finish. The bottom line was that it was a horrible uh, occurrence, a horrible event I would like to forget so soon. But then I got to understand that what the Bible said is, "Thou, you can do everything. You can." It didn't say you should do everything. So I had to stick to. Yes. So I had to stick to what I know my calling was, which is to write. So I started writing. It was like I started out writing just to express myself, to vent my emotions, to purge my mind, just to say my mind, because I grew up in a family where it is almost like a crime for you to complain. So anything that gets me pissed, I go and write it down and I don't forget. So I remember it, I keep it. All right, so that was how I started out writing until I started performing poems of other people in school. Every Friday, I'll be asked to recite a poem, and then I'll recite people's poems in the assembly ground, like they called it those days. And then, funnily, I became a celebrity in my school, primary school in Kano State,
Because
Bagauda
of
School of
what?
Talent, because of poetry. So, and then when I left performance of poems and I started doing only writing, I now remembered. Sorry, let me just jump into this other story. My dad called me one day and said, "This thing you do, there's this group that do it on radio. They recite poetry. They don't just write. Come and see if you would join them." And then I came to Port Harcourt. I found them. Um, what are they called again? Um, CV Poetry Club. I joined them to go on air, and it was exciting. That was where they forced me to have a nickname with my name, and I did that. And after that, even before that, I was the president of numerous other poetry groups in Imo State University then. But then, not all of them were performing poetry, and none of them was performing poetry on radio. So reading was like everybody that does poetry come around. Then Hot FM, they started Hot FM in Imo State. I would go and I would recite my poems with them, and that was how it continued until the slam happened. I just went to an event where I went to support the people. It's what is the event called again? It's called
Is it what or what?
Le- no, University. It's an event in Futo organized by Chika Jones. So Chika Jones was the winner of War of Words 2. Then Aquila told me about his friend and told me that I should try and support them. Since I was in Owerri, I should just go and support them. It's in Futo. I went and I was very disappointed because all I could see were just students, small boys. I was like, no, 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 no. My plan
Yeah, that,
was since they are not paying me, at least when I get there, I will get contact of people that can invite me and pay me. So
yeah,
payment I did not get, platform I did not get. These were students. They were even excited to see me. Imagine this was in 2014, in February 2014, and I'd left school since 2010. So some of the people that just got admission when I was leaving, they've been hearing about me. They've not seen me. That was the first place they were seeing me. They were excited to see me, and I'm like, this is
yeah.
not what I signed up for. So I didn't know that even amongst that small crowd, one of them is Sunes Nathaniel Schools. He too then was not as big as he is right now. So he was one that walked up to me and told me, this thing you did now, if you do it at War of Words, you will win. Just get two other poems like this and add to this 12 million nonsense. You have won the slam. I said, really? He said, yes. I said, how much? He said, 100,000. 100,000 was good money then. I was excited.
That,
I knew I had already won. So I went because I had tried to slam in 2014 and got there late. Unfortunately, I did not get to slam because they had done the first slam. DK won that slam. Lady Inspirologo emerged third, and then Uche Wadnachi emerged second. So I remember how I cried because I got there late. I was sure I would have won because I prepared very well for it. So this one, I was like, I'm going to be there 3 days before the day, and
never
that was what
again going to
happened.
miss.
Never again. So I went home. And I prepared alongside Aquila Calabo. Both of us went to War of Words, and I eventually won it. Aquila came second. Forsyth Bogani,
Wow.
also from Port Harcourt, came fifth, and that was how popularity started. So, like I always tell people, I was not good in 214. I was already good since before 214. I only became popular. I only found out one way to make money through poetry, and that's by winning slams. So it is good for you to have a skill, but it's also better if you know the business of the skill. After
Yeah.
the business of the skill, then you should move on to knowing the goodwill of the skill. So the skill makes you knowledgeable about that very vocation, that niche you are trying to ply your trade on. This the knowledge of the skill will make the skill the business of the skill will it will make the skill not to frustrate you. You will understand what to do to make money so that you don't turn out looking like a sad person always. People will respect you more if you have money. It is not when you are done performing, you now start asking for transportation to go back
Transportation.
home. So you don't want to be put in that very circle where I also made those mistakes while starting out. You know, you will not take your full payment. You accept that they pay you half, and then after the event, they should pay you the rest. Most 80% of those times, they did not pay me the remaining money. It's not like they were
Hmm.
not impressed by my performance, but they did not just find it um, noteworthy to raise that funds for me. So
They're not appreciative.
after the performance, they will act like you are not even there. They will still ask you, you see there here, you never go. Then you will now be like, you've not paid me my balance. Say, okay, I true. We not give you that balance. Okay, come. Sit down here first, and they come. They will now go
So
and meet their friends. Graciano never get in transportation. So, and I'm like, no, I'm not asking for my transportation. I'm asking for the payment, the balance of the payment we agreed. So I had to learn the hard way how to collect my monies before the before getting there even. In fact, I get my monies before you even print your flyer. And I tell you exactly the
Okay.
picture I need you to use and the way I want you to write my name and how I want you to invite me upstage. You
Oh,
don't bring me
rock
upstage and tell me best poet in Port Harcourt. What is that? I was Nigeria's number one poet. I was Nigeria's number one poet 3 times in Nigeria, 2 times in a row, and one extra. Nigeria's number one poet, and you're inviting me upstage as best poet in Port Harcourt. What is Port Harcourt? So I had to learn how to make sure that people do it right. Because if you don't teach them how to treat you, they are going to treat you however they please.
They
They
want.
can bring you up stage and say he's an upcoming poet. He's one of the people I'm just trying to give platform. No,
This is sad.
that's not what I am. Yeah, so all of these were things I learned. I think there are so many stories to be told, but there's no time to do all of those because I actually published it in Sticks and Stones, and we have the soft copies out already, but the hard copy
How
will
much
be
is selling
out
for that?
soon. Yes, Sticks and Stones, the soft copy is selling for 3,000. The hard copy is selling for 5,000. If you are pre-ordering 5,000, I think it should be out in 3 days' time. The hard copy, but the soft copy is already out for 3,000 naira.
Okay. Now,
Mm.
in this your story, you never told us if you learned poetry, like if you met anybody that taught you more about poetry, or you just learned it yourself and moved on.
No, yes and no. I was already writing because I read a lot of hymns, like I told you, and then I later saw a lot of poems from popular poets, including the recently late Pa Dr. Gabriel Okara's poetry and Seda
Okay.
Senghor of France. You know, the guy that used French to write poetry. I saw a lot of poems by different people. Different people. So in Inca's poems, I read widely. So normally I thought since I was already good at writing and then I've read these people's poems, I can start writing poems too. And I did not do badly. I actually wrote very well. But the difference between my writing then and now is that then I was writing as adaptations. I was just writing, I didn't have my own peculiar voice. I was writing, if I see this person's poem, I'll be like, how would I have written it? So
You're
I'll now
imitating us.
start, yes, I was imitating other people because I did not know the rudiment of what poetry writing is. Then to now channel it to what I would have done as a poet myself. So I was just doing, wow, this is good. I like the way he said it here. Let me say my own. So that was what I was just doing until I got into Imo State University and I met a poet called um, Ugochukwu Iwuji. We used to call him, um, his nickname then was Aluta UG. So Aluta UG was the one that mentored me. He brought me close. Me and so many other poets, by the way. I was not even one of his best students. I think if we are being ranked, I will be like the 13th or the 14th student he has because we were many. So he brought us close and then he kept teaching us and teaching us and teaching us until I got better myself. And then I met Professor Isdor Diala, who was an Arsenal fan until Barcelona bought Thierry Henry. I mean, I was a Barca fan, so he cross carpeted from Arsenal to Barcelona. If you have attended Imo State University, you must know Professor Isdor Diala. So we became friends, and then there was this paper that came out newly. It was called Barca Insight. The paper was only about Barcelona. So anything that happens to Barcelona, it will be on that paper, and I will buy it. So every Thursday, I will come with his own paper, and I will give it to him. I'll buy mine, I'll buy for him. It was 14 naira then. Good money because it was very expensive then. 14 naira was expensive for a paper. But then I kept buying for him and I'll buy for myself too. It continued until he developed interest. He didn't even know I was a poet until one day he asked me, what do you do? aside buying paper for me and supporting Barcelona. I told him that I'm a poet myself. He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes." So I showed him some of my poems. He looked at them and told me what to work on. So I don't think I would say Izzy Odiala is my mentor. I would say he was my role model. Even though he knew
Yeah.
me, he did not. He wasn't close to me as a poet. He was close to me as a general um, idol that I look up to. You know, he wasn't there telling me, walking me down the ropes and saying, "This is what you should do. This is what you should avoid as a poet." No. So he was not a mentor. People need to understand the difference between a mentor and a role model. So Izodiala was a role model, even though we were close, but not as poet to poet. We were just close as lecturer and student in school, and then Baka fans. So he was more like a friend and a role model, and not my mentor. My mentor would be that fellow student who was Aluta UG. So even though our path did not cross for long, it just lasted for a year and few months before he left school and I took over. After 2 years, I became the president of his group, Muse Ringers, and then president of so many others before I now found the ones meeting at Reading My 3.7. So a lot happened between those times, but I remember these ones vividly because those were the years that birthed the Graciano that everybody knows right now. Yes.
Okay. Mm. Wow, wow. Thank you so much, sir. I wanted to ask because I've asked some of my guests that what were their struggles when they were starting. But you said you write easily. You did not have struggle for writing. So I don't need to ask you that question again.
No,
But
I will
now,
answer
what
it.
motivates?
I will answer it.
Okay.
Writing was not difficult for me, but there were other things that were difficult for me. Convincing my parents to let me do poetry was difficult. Making money doing poetry was extremely difficult. It's still difficult, yeah, but there's a way it's done. If you can identify so many ways to make money, can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you
I
hear
can hear
me?
you.
So if you can
Yes, sir.
identify so many ways, okay, if you can identify so many ways to make money doing poetry, and then you pick 4 5 of them, there's no way you won't make at least some amount of money that is enough for you in a month. It's not possible. So long as you know different ways. What was my biggest problem then, challenge, was that I knew only one way to make money doing poetry. And if that one way does not suffice, it means I will go hungry that month. So, and that one way was just performing poetry or winning a slam. So if I don't see a slam to win, if nobody invites me to perform poetry, I'll be hungry. So all I did was to look for money by all means, and it made me become a little sad because every time you invite me up stage, I'm charging you money, and then most of these people are people that are just excited that I'm even close to them. According to them, they just want to give me a platform, not knowing that me, I was in it for money. So you see, but when I identified that writing songs is money, is still poetry, writing poems for people, performing for them on their birthdays or their weddings, and they pay me for it, is money. You know, writing poems as a book and selling it is money. You know, all of these ways are ways you can. Teaching poetry is money. You can teach to the children how to you can teach them how to write poetry or how to perform it before children's day in their school. You can teach models. Not all of them want to dance, not all of them want to catwalk. Some of them, they will ask them to do something. You can teach models and they will pay you. They pay very well. But I know where I've made the most money is in writing songs. So if I write for a popular musician, they pay very well. I don't want to mention prices. I don't know who will be watching these videos. So, but they pay very well. They pay very well. So just imagine, let's just say 250,000 naira for one song. Just imagine it. It's not like that's what I charge, but just imagine it. That's what I'm talking about. So it's almost 3 times the amount of money with which I won my first lamp at 12 was 100,000 naira. So you see, these are ways people can make money. Okay, you can make money by writing songs. You can make money. Right now, some people actually make money for just appearance, just being at an event. They can pay you for being there. So things like that happen. You can be that. You can even make money for writing adverts, copywriting, writing adverts for this thing. You can get paid for voicing, doing voiceovers. I've made some good money, not as much as other areas, but I've made some good money from just doing voiceovers. They bring me even voice dramas, radio dramas. You can come and voice and say something because you know how to use voice inflections. They will pay you for doing that. So these are many ways you can make money. There are so many other ways. So it was difficult for me to realize these things, but when I did, I started making money from them.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, for this. You did not just come here to share your story, but also shows us how to monetize this skill. Because we have so many
Yes.
broke people who are into this industry. Thank you so
Yes,
much, sir.
just be good at it, and then realize also that um, every art is a people business. So try to also improve your social capital. Don't treat people anyhow. Don't also hide. Okay, always be like pimples. Be on the faces of people, whether they are smiling or they are frowning. Be in their faces. Just be
No
there.
concern
Always have an excuse to do poetry. If they are talking
you.
about something that does not relate to poetry, look for ways to make it poetic and say your line. They'll be like, "Oh, you don't come with your poetry again." That's you. That's you advertising. That's you advertising
Yes,
what you do.
know yourself.
Okay, that's where, yeah, show yourself. Show yourself, always show up. And then
Yes,
that's
sir.
one way to attract people. But another way to keep them is to be honest. Be honest. If they give you a job, deliver at the right time, deliver quality, deliver at the right time, and then charge for your job. If not, they will refer you to somebody else that will not also pay you. Sharp for your job. All
There's
right,
another guy
always
can
do
help
that. Yes, you go do am for free, na my guy. So don't do that. Don't be put in that WhatsApp group.
me.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir. The last question is this: what motivates your write up? Because there are some people who depression will, I don't know if I should call it depression, they are just sad. They will write wonderful piece. What are those things that motivate your writing? Is it when you're sad or when you're happy?
Everything motivates my writing. Like I said, I started out expressing myself. So whether I am sad, I write. If I'm happy, I'm just like a drunkard. A drunkard
Mm.
drinks when he is happy. If he's happy, you say, "Oh, let's drink to this." If he's sad, he say,
Hey,
"Oh, let's drink, I'm dying." If he's
Jesus.
just like that, I'll be like, "Man, I'm just bored. Yeah, nothing is happening. Let me drink." So I'm just like that kind of poet. So I write poetry for so many reasons. If I'm happy, I write about it. If I'm sad, I write about it. If nothing is happening, then I write too. All right. So it got worse, or let me say it got better when I started earning from it. So when I wait, for instance, and I see that I don't have any poem on child education, what if they invite me to do poetry on child education? Then I write a good poem that will fit in every. I have a poem for wedding. I have a poem
Every
for
ceremony.
burial. I have every ceremony. Then if you go online and search for special days, by the it's not World Health again. I think it's OAU. They have special days. They have World AIDS Day. They have World this, World the other, and World the other one. I have poems for all those World this, World AIDS Day, World Mental Health Day, World Girls Day, World Poetry Day. I have poetry for all of those. So you can imagine how many poems I have just by doing that. So I have excuse for writing. I don't wait um, to be in the spirit and do whoosh whoosh whoosh. No, that's not the kind of person I am.
You remove
Poetry
the
for me
spirit.
is just like I don't. There's no spirit to be into. It is me. I am the poet. So I just write anytime I want to write, and then it goes. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. We stop to the end of this show. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Thank you
Thank you
so much.
very much.
All right. We'll see you
I feel
later.
honored.
And
So
I want
tell your
to, yeah, I want to
okay.
tell your my audience about your book, Poetry 101.
Yes, it's here.
Okay. Yeah, I want to tell them about the book before you leave.
Yeah. Okay, I should go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a collection of answers to my frequently asked questions. So I've been teaching poetry actively since 2008, and in 2018 I published this book. So I was teaching, traveling to different states, teaching for free on WhatsApp groups, even like this on this kind of platforms. So I've been on this kind of platform a lot of times where I just teach for free. And then I got bored because these questions were always repeated. Everywhere you go to, you hear the same questions repeated. And I'm like, you should ask another thing now. So I got tired saying saying the same thing over and over again. And it inspired me to just gather all of those questions, their answers, and then I put it in a book. Okay, so after a while, I said, okay, let me also teach, since I also write speeches for people who want to deliver speeches. So I also write speeches. So I also wrote how to write speeches, then how to write songs, then all the challenges that writers would face, poets would face, speech writers or speech makers would face, Toastmasters, and all the challenges that songwriters will face. I gathered all the challenges and I solved them. The solution to all of these challenges are what we find in this book.
One book,
Okay,
one book.
then yes, at the end too, I gathered all the poems that won slams in the last decade. That's between 2008 2010. Both GK Chukwumerije's own, Paul Ward, Toby Abiodun, Samurai, the lady in Abuja. I gathered all their poems with their permissions, by the way, and then I published it. You see, you will even see if a Paul's poem, you will see mine too that won all of the slams. You will see Aquila's poem too. So collections of poems that won slams, slam winning poems. So they are here. So this it got to 7,000 last last year, but it has reduced again because we have more copies. That's reduced to 5,000 naira. So with 5,000 naira, you can get this copy. And then
Okay.
Sticks and Stones will be out soon. Like I said, 3,000 for the soft copy, and then 5,000 for the hard copy, just like this one. But Sticks and Stones is a book you'll be reading, you'll be seeing yourself. You'll also be laughing because it contains all the wrong decisions I made as a growing artist, including the ones I just shared here. You will see them in details and you will see yourself. Some of you are making those mistakes right now and you don't even know what you are doing wrong. So it's my way to teach people financial intelligence, street intelligence, emotional intelligence without really telling them the way I said it categorically. I did not mention do this, don't do this. I just told my story, and you will learn while you are reading my story and avoid some of those pitfalls I got into. All right, so I think that's done.
All right. Thank you so much. For somebody that's asking,
Thank
does this book now, does it have soft copy? How much is it selling for the soft copy in case maybe they
The
want it?
soft copy is also 3,000 naira. This soft copy 3,000, the hard copy 5,000. Same with the other one. And please, if you are paying for the Sticks and Stones, you have to do it immediately because once we launch, we are going to be launching it the next time we are having the eclipse at the Presidential Hotel, Port Harcourt. Once we launch it, it could go as high as 7,000. So this 5,000 is the pre-ordering price. And I told you in 3 days it's going to be out. I'm very certain that in 3 days I will hold it the way I'm holding this one.
Mm. Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for that. Thank you so much, sir. I do appreciate
Gracias, mi amigo.
it. Thank you for
Thank you.
showing up on this platform. Thank you, sir. My other guest is
Emela.
knocking. Thank you. I
All
don't
right,
even know
thank
to
you
speak
very
the
much.
Igbo sense.
I had to learn the hard way. All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay, bye bye,
You're
sir.
welcome. All right.